Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tabitha. I feel like I've never done an intro like that before, so yeah, there it is. I'm learning as I go, okay? And I apologize for any like weird background noises because my microphone, my sister broke it. My sister broke one of the legs. So it won't stand on its own now, so I feel like I'm gonna have to hold it, and hopefully that doesn't cause too many like weird background noises. So anyway, yes, today's video is going to be all the books that I read from April of this year until June of this year. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because at the beginning of the year, I made a video cataloging all the books that I read from January until March. From now on, I'm probably not going to be doing it this way. I'll probably do monthly reading wrap-ups just because I feel like it's easier to talk about a book and review it after it hasn't been that long. Some of these from back in April, I'm like, I mean, I remember them, but at the same time, you know, it'd be so much easier if I had just read them 3 weeks ago rather than months ago. So let's get into it. So firstly, in April, I started reading a manga series, my first manga series I've ever read, which just so happened to be To Your Eternity. I did not know that this series was so devastating. It was literally so sad for no reason. And I read volumes 1 through 5 before I realized that it was just too dark and too sad for me, and it was literally making me depressed. I enjoyed the ones that I read, don't get me wrong, but they just left me feeling really down and sad, so I don't recommend them for that reason. Also, like the anime version, the first episode, you can get a taste for the whole series, I feel like, just based on the first episode. Don't blame me when you cry your eyes out, though. I didn't really give them a star rating because, like I said, I enjoyed them, but I also would not recommend them. So, if I had to rate the series on a whole, I guess I'd go middle of the road and go 2.5. The next book I read was a memoir called Tears of the Silenced by Misty Griffin. So basically, Tears of the Silenced is telling the story of two girls who grew up not in an Amish community, but they ended up getting like sent to an Amish community to like straighten them out or whatever. And they weren't even doing anything bad, you know what I mean? The parents were obviously abusive in the situation, so I would definitely look out for triggers and stuff picking up this book. But like any memoir, I did not give it a star rating because I don't feel like it's my place to give people's life stories star ratings. I did find it very eye-opening, even if it was a bit of a hard read. And if I remember correctly, the girl Misty, she stated in an interview or something I read somewhere where this book was actually used to train law enforcement on how to deal with abuse and stuff like that within Amish families and communities. It was really eye-opening, made me angry. Yeah, like I said, I recommend it, but only if you look at the triggers first because it has quite a few. Anyway, moving on to slightly happier topics, the next one I read was The Paper Girl of Paris by Jordyn Taylor. This one was a delight. Okay, a pure and utter delight. I talk about it a little bit more in the reading vlog where I'm reading it. It's from the video where I let my TBR jar decide what I read for the month. And it was really fun. I really liked that video. I liked all the books that I read through that video. I would say if you want to hear more of my in-depth thoughts on it, go watch that video. I'll link it down below, I guess. I think I rated it like 4.5, 5 stars, something like that. Either way, it was up there. It was really good. Recommend it. The next one that I read in April, we're on number 4, was The Maze Cutter by James Dashner. This is the second book in that video that I was just referencing. And basically it's the continuation of the Maze Runner series. And I was absolutely thrilled when I found out this book was going to exist. It's just part of my childhood and I love that series. So when I found out that this was going to exist, my camera looks crooked and now it's distracting me. So if it's crooked, I'm sorry. But yeah, when I found out this book was going to exist, I was thrilled because I'm pretty sure James Dashner had said in an interview that he was done with the Maze Runner universe, and obviously he wasn't. James, you lied to us. I'm not mad about it though, okay? Thanks. Anyway, yeah, you can't read it unless you know all about the other books in the series, so don't read it until you've read the whole series. And you're probably not going to enjoy it unless you're like a younger teenager, honestly, because I'm sure if I went back and read it today, I probably wouldn't like it as much as I liked it back then.
Don't lie to me! Don't lie to me!
And that's my TED Talk on that. Next in April, I read a lot in April, y'all. The next book I read in April was the last book for that TBR Jar video that I've been referencing, and it was The Dark Tower and Other Stories by C.S. Lewis. This is a book that I just got because I really love C.S. Lewis. I've read quite a few of his works, and this is like a collection of unfinished stories and short stories and stuff like that. The unfinished story is very frustrating. The short stories were kind of dark. Not usual C.S. Lewis material, I'm telling you, okay? It's a little bit different. I think I rated it 3.5 stars, something like that. It's not a book that I would recommend unless you're familiar with other works by C.S. Lewis. I feel like this would not be a good introductory book of his. So anyway, that's that. And the last one that I read in April is called Living Underwater by Heidi Baker. This is just a book by a lady who loves Jesus. And she loves Jesus so much that it just like comes through the book and it like absorbs into you and you're like, wow. It was really good. A really short read. I think it was only like 50 some pages. I read it in 45 minutes, I think. But yeah, it was really sweet and it was really good. And it was kind of like about her life and her relationship with Jesus. And it was really wholesome and really good. In May, to start off, I read Once I Knew by Victoria Lynn. This book was good, but slightly unmemorable, if I'm being honest. I really wanted to like it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. I feel so bad saying that. Once I Knew is basically the story about this girl and her granny. They're basically peasants.
Shut your mouth, you water-tribe peasant!
And they're living in this kingdom. The kingdom is not real fleshed out, like the politics of the kingdom are not real fleshed out. I think that might have been one of my problems with it, is because I just didn't understand some of it. Basically, this girl finds this guy in the woods who got injured from falling off his horse. It's not too hard to figure it out, but turns out he's the king or the prince or whatever of the kingdom, and he has like an evil family member that's like trying to steal the throne or something. I think as I rated it, I gave it 4, but as I'm thinking back on it, I can't remember much of it, so I'm gonna give it 3. The next book that I read in May is Kisses from Katie by Katie Davis Majors. This is the sweetest book. I loved this book. Like, Katie's heart for the world and her heart for children and the lost is so contagious. She basically becomes a missionary at 17, 18. She like goes to live in Africa and works for this orphanage, volunteers for this orphanage, and then ends up adopting all these kids and like, I don't know, it's just, I loved it. I loved her heart behind it. It was so, so sweet. Free on Kindle Unlimited, by the way. It's just one of those books that just reading it makes you crave a deeper connection with Jesus. It was just so, so good. I honestly think this is a book every Christian should read. Next in May, I read a book called A Girl Called Samson. I guess I didn't necessarily read it. I listened to it on Audible. It was free. So it's based on the true story of Deborah Sampson, who was America's first female soldier. It was interesting. I think I rated it overall a 3. It dragged on pretty long in some areas. The romance was okay, and it was a little bit too heavy in some areas for my liking. Overall, I would say it was a 3. It was good. It was not bad by any means. So this is a little short book, and I wondered whether or not I should mention it, but I mentioned the mangas, so I feel like this book is definitely worth mentioning too. It's called Mr. Pegalo at the Gates of Hell, and it's by Bob Streblow, and it really opens your eyes to just the humanity in everybody. This is a real story. Mr. Pegalo was a homeless man in this man's town, and God ends up giving Mr. Bob a vision of sorts where he sees Mr. Pegalo at the gates of hell. It's really eye-opening in regards to eternity and just looking at people through the lens of eternity. It really helped me see everybody through that lens. I don't want to give it away, the end of it, but it's really, really good. It did make me tear up. Again, it's a really short book, really easy to read. You could easily read it in one day. The last one that I read in May is A Crown of Chains by Erin Phillips. So I did a video starting back in May where I let my sister pick out my TBR based on the first sentence of the books. So she picked 3 books for me to read, and this was the first of those 3. So I go into detail in that video, so I'll link it down below as well. Not trying to plug myself, I just don't want to like regurgitate stuff I've already said about the same book, you know what I mean? I rated it like 4.5 stars if I remember correctly. This one was basically a fantasy retelling of Esther. Summarized into a single sentence, that's what it is. But yeah, Crown of Chains by Erin Phillips, really enjoyed it, would recommend. Okay, we're finally in June. So in June, to start off, I read A Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, which again is a book that I read for that video where my sister picks out all my books and stuff based on the first sentence. So she picked Dance of Thieves second, so I read that and I really loved it. And again, I talk about it in detail in that video, so go watch that for more thoughts and opinions. I read Vow of Thieves straight after, which is the second in the duology, and I really loved that one too. Loved that one even more than the first one. Yeah, it was a whole win. It was a win situation for sure, finding that duology. The last book that I read in June was also for that video, and it was A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. And again, I talk about this one in detail in that one, so I don't want to talk about it in detail again. But I really liked it. It was really good. It's kind of controversial. Some people love it, some people don't. That's okay. But I really liked it. I really liked it, and I'm really excited about jumping into An Echo in the Darkness. But in July, I've been reading nothing but like cutesy, fluffy books. I also got Wishdress from the library the other day. I've heard Celestria talk about it. I've heard Oceana talk about it. I've heard Katie talk about it. And I feel like I'm missing out. And then I got a book in the mail just today, actually. The Dangerous Beauty book by Melissa Clauslin. So I'm excited about that one too. I've heard Oceana and Katie both talk about that one as well. And I'll link their channels down below, all 3 of those creators. I love to watch their videos. I think that's all for today. That felt a lot shorter than I thought it would feel. So yeah, I'm going to try out the format of monthly reading wrap-ups. I don't know if it's going to work out or not. I don't know if it's like going to fit my reading style or not, because I really read, like in April I read 6 or 7 books, and then in June I read 3. I would feel weird doing a reading wrap-up for just 3 books, but I mean, I don't know, I still feel like it's better to review them when they're still fresh on your mind, you know what I mean? So yeah. I believe that's all for today, so I hope you have an amazing rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or whatever other time of day it is for you. Y'all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Bye! I hate going, bye! Why does my voice go up in pitch? It goes, hi! Ugh. So anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye! See, that sounds weird too. So anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye! I'll see you next time. Bye! That one sounded good. We're gonna go with that one. Okay. See y'all later.